Welcome to the Eat This Book podcast. I'm Michael Whitworth. Each day we take a small piece of scripture and we sit with it. Not a quick snack that disappears before lunch, not a chore you check off of a list, but rather a meal meant to be savored. So pull up a chair. Let's eat. Jacob sent Joseph to find his brothers. Think about that for a moment. Jacob knew his sons hated Joseph. He had watched the family fracture around the coat, around the dreams, around the favoritism he couldn't seem to stop. He knew the brothers couldn't speak peacefully to Joseph, and he sent him anyway. Maybe he thought blood was thicker than bitterness. Maybe he underestimated the depth of their hatred. Maybe he was just an old man who needed someone to check on the flocks, and Joseph was the son he trusted most. Whatever the reason, Jacob dressed the dreamer in his beautiful coat and pointed him toward Shechem. He would never see that coat again, not the way it was. Joseph went looking for his brothers. There's something almost innocent about it. He wanders in the fields near Shechem, lost, until a stranger finds him and asks what he's seeking. "I'm seeking my brothers," Joseph says. "Tell me where they are pasturing the flock." Think about the words, "I am seeking my brothers." They echo. Joseph is looking for connection, for family, for belonging. He doesn't know that his brothers have already decided what they'll do when they see him coming. The stranger points him toward Dothan. Joseph walks on. Every step brings him closer to the pit. They saw him from afar. That coat, that unmistakable, infuriating coat. They could see it from a distance, the colors catching the light, the favorite son approaching with all the confidence of someone who doesn't know he's walking into ambush. Before he even arrived, they were plotting. "Here comes this dreamer," they said. The word drips with contempt. This dreamer. This boy with his visions of grandeur. This brother who thinks we'll bow to him. "Let's kill him. Throw him into one of the pits. Say a fierce animal devoured him, and we will see what will become of his dreams." That's what this is really about. The brothers want to murder the future Joseph claimed. They want to destroy the visions that placed them beneath him. If the dreamer is dead, the dream dies with him. Or so they think. Reuben intervenes, not to defend Joseph exactly, but to prevent the worst. "Shed no blood," he tells them. "Throw him into the pit in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him." The text tells us Reuben's secret intention. He planned to rescue Joseph later, to return him to their father, perhaps to redeem himself in Jacob's eyes. He couldn't stop the violence entirely, but he could redirect it. The pit instead of the knife. It's not heroism, it's compromise. But sometimes compromise is all you can manage when you're standing in the path of collective rage. When Joseph arrived, they stripped him first. The coat comes off before anything else, the symbol of everything they resent, the visible evidence of their father's preference. They tear it from his body as if removing the garment might remove the favoritism. Then they throw him into a dry cistern. No water, which means he won't drown, but also no water, which means he'll die slowly of thirst if they leave him there. Joseph lands in darkness. The dreamer who saw stars bowing to him is now staring up at a circle of sky, surrounded by stone walls, listening to his brothers' voices above him. And then they sat down to eat. This is the detail that gives me chills. They threw their brother in a hole to die, and then they had lunch. They could hear him. He must have been crying out, begging. Years later, they'll confess, "We saw the distress of his soul when he begged us, and we did not listen." They heard him beg. They ate their bread anyway. That's what hatred does. It numbs you. It lets you hear suffering and feel nothing. A caravan approaches on the horizon. Ishmaelite traders heading to Egypt. Judah sees an opportunity. "What profit is it if we kill our brother? Come, let's sell him. Let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." Our brother, our own flesh. Even Judah can't quite erase the connection. But he's not proposing mercy, he's proposing profit. Why kill Joseph when they can sell him? They get rid of the dreamer and make money doing it. 20 pieces of silver. That's the price. 20 pieces of silver for a 17-year-old boy who will one day save their lives. Reuben wasn't there for the sale. When he returns to the pit and finds it empty, he tears his clothes. The boy is gone, and where shall I go? It's the cry of someone who tried to do the right thing and failed. Reuben planned to rescue Joseph. He waited too long. The pit is empty. The caravan is gone. Sometimes compromise isn't enough. Sometimes the moment for courage passes while you're still calculating the cost. The brothers take Joseph's coat. They kill a goat. They dip the robe in blood. They carry it back to their father and let the evidence speak for itself. This we have found. Please identify whether it is your son's robe or not. They don't say what happened. They don't accuse an animal directly. They just present the bloodied garment and let Jacob draw his own conclusions. The father who deceived his own father with goatskins is now deceived by his own sons with goat's blood. The man who dressed as Esau to steal a blessing now holds a bloody coat and believes a lie. What goes around comes around. The deceiver is deceived. Jacob recognizes the coat. A fierce animal has devoured him, he concludes. Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces. He tears his garments, puts on sackcloth, mourns for many days. His children rise to comfort him, but he refuses. I shall go down to Sheol to my son, mourning. The grief is absolute. Jacob decides he will carry this loss to the grave. What none of them know is that the story isn't over. The pit was not the end. The slave caravan was not the end. Egypt is not a grave, but a detour. The dream that the brothers tried to murder is very much alive, traveling south in chains, heading toward a destiny none of them can imagine. Joseph goes down to Egypt, the same phrase Scripture uses for Abraham, for Jacob later. But Joseph goes down not as a patriarch, but as property, not as a dreamer, but as merchandise. He's sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an important household. But he's still a slave, still far from home, still holding dreams that look more like mockery with every passing day. The descent has begun, but descents in Scripture are often preludes to resurrection. Here's what we should savor from this passage. First, blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. Joseph's brothers threw him in a pit and ate lunch while he screamed. Kinship doesn't ensure kindness. If you've been betrayed by people who should have protected you, you're not alone. Second, compromise has limits. Reuben tried to save Joseph without confronting his brothers directly. He was too late. Sometimes the moment for courage passes while you're still calculating. And third, pits are not endings. Joseph went from cistern to slave block to Egypt and eventually to the right hand of Pharaoh. Dreams from God don't die in holes. They just take longer than we expected. If you're carrying a dream that looks dead, if the vision God gave you seems buried under everything that's gone wrong, this passage says, hold on. The brothers meant to kill the dream. They failed. If you found yourself in a pit you didn't deserve, if circumstances beyond your control dropped you into darkness, this passage says the descent is real, but it's not the destination. Joseph kept descending, and then he rose. Next time on Eat This Book, right in the middle of Joseph's story, Genesis takes a shocking detour. Judah makes a promise he never intends to keep, and Tamar refuses to disappear. What follows is messy, uncomfortable, and absolutely crucial. Join me in Genesis 38 as Scandal exposes the truth when we hear the words, "She is more righteous than I." Thanks for eating with me. Until next time, may the Word dwell in you richly.